We showed that the American capitalist system did everything to try and confuse and stop this moment, to stop this. They brought poverty program, they gave them African mayors. What didn't they do? But in 1992, these same Africans, again, rose up against the same system. The only difference was that the rebellion was quantitatively greater. But there was no qualitative difference. They didn't discuss it. They didn't talk about it. They didn't plan it. They made no preparations for it. Do you know what will happen when Africans plan their rebellions in the cities of America? That's why the United States of American capitalist system must break all organizations among the people. But they can slow down revolution, they cannot stop it. The people, the masses of the people, are going to be organized everywhere. This organization is going to take on intense speed. This organization will become necessary because even if the people learn through the method of elimination, they have tried everything else. The one thing they have not tried is organization. Conscious organization calls for conscious levels of unity on both the level of thought and the level of action. We have demonstrated thought and action. We have shown the demonstration, we have shown the necessity to think before, to act before one can talk about thinking, and understanding that one cannot think unless one is involved in action. Therefore, when one speaks of conscious unity, one speaks of unity on the level of thought and the level of action. If we look at the African masses, we can see that they have a high level of unity on the level of action, but they have no unity on the level of thought. Thus, if one comes to organize a people, and this is why we insist, and we insist in our struggle, in our struggles for sovereignty, that one come to understand the necessity of thinking together. One can sometimes act together without thinking together. Go to Los Angeles, where all these Africans rose up, risked their lives against the capitalist system and venting their rage and hatred against it on just the question of police terrorism. Ask each and every one of them, what is the solution to the problem? Everyone will give you a different answer. Even in Hawaii, as small as it is, ask for the solution to sovereignty, you can get as many as 3 different groups. Even all of them, of course, are in action for sovereignty. Yet again, here, this question of unity of thought is lacking. It is the question of unity of thought that decides revolutionary process. That's why we say ideology is the crucial arena in which to raise the struggle. This aspect of unity of thought is crucial. If, again, we take the example of the Africans, we can see great confusion here. Do you know Africans themselves do not call themselves the same thing? Some call themselves black, some call themselves Americans, some call themselves black Americans, some call themselves Afro, some African Americans, some human, some Africans, some just Americans. Confusion everywhere. If you were to ask them what is the solution to their problems, as many Africans as you asked, you'd get answers different from each other. Thus here, on the question of unity of thought, they are completely disunited. But on the level of action, they have this action. This action which they have is spontaneous action. It's spontaneous because they do not have a level of unity of thought to show them the necessity for the permanency of such action. This is why culture becomes so crucial in a struggle for sovereignty. The culture is everlasting. It will go on. Therefore, the political struggle must be hooked to the evolution of the culture. Since the culture is continual, the political struggle will be continual. Frederick Douglass correctly said, where there is no struggle, there is no progress. Where there is no struggle, there is no progress. This is absolutely true. Everyone knows that. Even students, if they attend their biology class and they do not struggle with the concepts of biology, they will never learn biology through osmosis. The only way they will learn biology is through constant struggle with the concepts of biology and coming to master them. We are revolutionaries. We do not even look for easy struggle. As a matter of fact, as a revolutionary, you bring me easy struggle, you come to heap scorn on me. We want nothing but difficult struggles. Our people's culture demonstrates this everywhere. In Trinidad, in the Caribbean, where I was born, the Africans there say in their sing-song English, the rougher the water, the stronger the swimmer. Yes. In New Orleans, they say, If you see me fighting with a bear, help the bear pour honey on me. This aspect of confronting difficult struggles must be understood and appreciated and internalized by revolutionaries. The struggle of arriving at statehood in Hawaii is difficult. That's what I want. I want a difficult struggle. I don't want an easy struggle. I want a difficult struggle. The more difficult the struggle, the more progress I make. The more difficult the obstacles I overcome, the more confidence I have in myself, capable of overcoming every obstacle. Therefore, we who are revolutionaries never look for easy struggle. On the contrary, we look only for difficult struggle. And therefore, since we look for difficult struggle, we can never be pessimistic. We can never be pessimistic. This must be properly understood. Capitalism will make people pessimistic, make them frustrated. And when you are frustrated, you're just helping the enemy because you're doing absolutely nothing. Therefore, to rid yourself from frustration, to rid yourselves from questions of doubt in your movement, you must know from the very beginning that the people will inevitably arrive at victory, no matter what obstacles you place in their path. And to show you this, as a representative of these people, show me the most difficult struggle you got out here. I'll take it on for the people, with the people, and we will march to victory. We must look for difficult struggle. We must never be afraid of difficult struggle. On the contrary, if we thank the enemy for anything, we must thank them for constant struggle and for difficult struggle. Difficult struggle. We are about to conclude. We're about to conclude. Before we go, we just need to summarize some of the things we said. Number one, we said that the only solution to the problems for Africans is Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. We assured everyone that this objective will be arrived at. No force on earth can stop it. We must understand that our approach tonight has been a political approach, dealing heavily in the area of ideology. We're not confused here. Africa is the richest continent on the face of the earth, the richest. Africans, wherever you find them, on the continent or off the continent, are the poorest people on the face of the earth. Therefore, they do not have an economic problem, they have a political problem. They do not control the wealth of Africa. Thus, we are not confused here thinking the problem is economic. This problem must be properly understood. While addressing some people in the United States the other day, a man said, "Well, you're talking about Africa." I told him, in the United States of America, statistics have been proven that Africans in America spend $40 million a year on potato chips. This is a fact. 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 This is a fact, $40 million. Now, I know it's difficult to ask somebody to give up money if they have to use it for cosmetics. I don't want it, I got to fry my hair, all right. It might even be hard to ask them, give me money for, no, I'm going to drink a can of beer, all right. But a bag of potato chips? I mean, anybody can sacrifice that. It's a question of political organization. Properly politically organized, asking everyone, when you want to buy a bag of potato chips, just throw the money in this bucket here, $40 million in 1 year. $40 million in 1 year. The question is a question of political organization. The enemy will try to confuse us everywhere. The problem is economic, yes. Africa is poor, but the solution is through politics. We must control the wealth of Africa. Therefore, it is a struggle for political power that is the important struggle for all people seeking their sovereignty. Nationalism, of course, must be properly understood. We left this one for last. In Europe, their formation and their political formation started with nations and went to state structures. Colonized countries start from state structures and go to nations. The difference must be properly appreciated. If one already has a nation and one is going to a state, there's no need to use nationalism. As a matter of fact, here it will lead to chauvinism. But if one has a state structure and one is trying to build a nation, one has to use nationalism. For example, if one would look at the formation of European states, even Germany, France, England, one would see that the nations themselves already began to have formation before they went to state structure. If one would look at Africa today, if one would look at South and Central America today, if one would look at Asia today, one would see what they really have is state structures which they had to fight for against colonialism. In fact, they inherited the state structures of the colonial power, and they're now building a nation. Therefore, they must use nationalism to build it up. When the indigenous people of Hawaii seize state power in Hawaii, they will have to use nationalism to bring back Hawaiians to be proud of Hawaii, to be proud of tradition, to use their culture, etc., etc. Therefore, here, nationalism is necessary.